We finally could talk about it. America's Next Top Model. A lot of people were in the clip before talking when you were like, I went far. I didn't answer them because I didn't know what to say about that because that was you. That was your story. So let's talk about the documentary. You could talk about things you experienced along the lines with the auditioning process too, because that's what people are asking about on TikTok.
Yeah, I went. Okay, so when I said I got far, let me correct that. I want people. I got far.
No, nobody was challenging you like on some.
Yeah, I was like, I went far when I went to Champagne. Like, I had a bitch there all day and night. Okay, that's what I mean. Not, I went to somewhere else and it was all these other rounds. No, it was nothing like that at all. So I want to clarify that.
Yeah.
That's not what happened in Champagne. You know what? I'm gonna let you lead this conversation because I'm interested to see what your thoughts are. Are we aligned as Aquariusers?
Mm-hmm. Now,
because this is the listen.
And you know what? I already know what you think because I know you. We know each other well. Both things can be true at the same time. That's what I thought about this.
Okay, so we have a 3-part docuseries that comes out about the historic America's Next Top Model, which was a competition show, a modeling competition show that would land a girl a modeling contract with one of the top agencies in the in the world or country, a contract with CoverGirl and prize money, pretty much. And we learned in this documentary what all was happening behind the scenes at this show. One thing that I think that my sister and I were always aware of was that they kind of preyed on some of the insecurities of a lot of the young lady, and I'm gonna say the majority of people. It is, I think it was a reality show first, and the modeling was just another added layer bonus to it, right? If I could be completely honest, just based on some of the things that we would see, a lot of the challenges for the week, it read that it was a show first, and then modeling came kind of second.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, people are finally speaking about their experiences and how this happened, which is absolutely correct. Is when people were home during the pandemic, Hulu picks up the show and everybody is watching it cover to cover because they don't have nothing else to do. So they are watching it through the eyes of present times versus how TV was back then.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue with a lot of this is people want Tyra to apologize, to be accountable. And we really don't get that from her in this documentary. And we learn so much in the documentary from fellow judges. We learned that Miss J has had a stroke, had to learn to walk, had to learn to talk again. Tyra never reached out to him, though she had known him since she was about 16 years old. We learned that Miss J, actually, Mr. J tried to leave, and because of his contract, he had to stay and ultimately would be fired, along with Miss J and Nigel Barker, who were kind of the bread and butter of the show, if we can keep it a buck. And just the all around toxicity that's happening there. So that is the premise of this documentary. So Daryl, you have the floor.
My first, a lot of this stuff that was happening with the models was fucked up, no doubt. But I thought that shit always happened with all models. Like, yeah. I know that sounds fucked up, and it should not happen. But I didn't think this was nothing different than what I've heard happens for the Ford models and all these different things for decades and years, which I said is not right. But on the flip side, Tyra Banks has no fucking accountability at all for shit.
Because she's a Sagittarius.
Yeah, I know. But low key, she could have kept them all on there if she wanted to, because the show, I'm like, fuck it, I'm walking to them. I'm talking when she was supposed to have fired all them too. The show wouldn't have been the show without her.
Yeah.
If she would have walked, that show would have failed, and they know it too. And that's why I know she was on some bogus shit for that. Because she could have walked too and be like, fuck it. It's American Idol. It's me. My face is on there every fucking beginning of the thing. No. You think you're gonna be able to rebrand it after what 13 cycles or whatever the fuck it was, 15 cycles?
It was like by that time it was 19.
Yeah, no way she did not flex the power. She wanted to get rid of some of them too, maybe.
No, I think so. Like Jay said,
or so I'm gonna say she's lying. She didn't fight for them like she could have.
No, absolutely. And I think part of it too is just like, you know, knowing that Mr. J wanted to leave, and how things were edited. Again, he didn't look innocent either. The only one you couldn't say anything kind of bad about was Nigel, the photographer, Nigel Barker, because how things were said or faces were made by even Miss J. So I will say this from my knowledge of because Tyra has spoken about this on her talk show. I know that Tyra is very thrifty, in a way cheap.
Because she was a executive producer on there too, right?
She's an executive producer. By this time, you're not modeling yourself anymore for real. Like you scaling back because a lot of models know, if you watch Kimura's show, because Kimura was on the first season. Now I'll be interested to see why she left or if they just didn't renew her contract.
Or is that around the time she got that no, I was gonna say this. Is that when she got her first reality show, the one with her and Russell Simmons, like Hustle Simmons, whatever that was, though? Where
I don't know. We'll have to see the.
I think it was a little bit after that. I think it might have been. I think that might have been mid 2000s or something.
But maybe. You know what? I could be wrong. I think she might have been pregnant on that show, that first season.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, she might have been pregnant.
Okay, so maybe that's why she kind of fell back.
But Kimura is also very, very, you gotta have another hustle outside of modeling because they will kick you out at any age. Like it doesn't matter. Like the next hot thing will come in. So that's something that the conversation that she's having with her kids now. And ultimately, I think that what we see happen is Tyra trying to be very anti-industry, trying to change the standard, but also falling in alignment with the industry and the industry standards.
I agree.
So it's like, and this is why we call them Sagittarians. Because how are you going to say that and then turn around and do the same things? But it's interesting because when you talk to some of the winners, like Danny, for example, the girl from Arkansas, and she's one of the two girls that they do the cosmetic surgery on, the dental for her gap.
She needed that gap fixed, though. Can we all say that?
I don't. But see, here's the thing. That's not true. You had Alex Weck had a gap.
When was that? When did Alex Weck come out?
It wasn't just her. It was another girl that
I'm just saying the timeline of when these people came out is what I'm saying.
Alex Weck is by this time is out in modeling.
Like okay.
Alex Weck is.
I don't know the modeling world.
It's other models that have the gap, and Nigel Barker was very pro gap the entire time. He kept saying, I don't think that she needs to close the gap. I think it's beautiful. But I think he might have had a little thing for Danny because she, cute girl. He was very pro Danny. And I remember that vividly. With Joni did have that extra tooth that needed to be, it was like an overlapping tooth on, she had crowding. And for Danny, you do feel bad because she has this contract and you learn that she's living in a model house with a great Chanel Iman and they're good friends. And she's not even going on Go See. She's not getting
Yeah,
any
I mean, think
casting.
about the making of the band people and like remember the group, the band that Diddy made, where nobody was taking them seriously because they were on that show.
Yeah, it was a different time. I think if it was now and the way that the industry is set up now, I think it would be different
Because you
because
had more of the people that you can understand then, though. Some people don't. It was, I wouldn't say gatekeepers, but it was more tastemakers. They're like, nah, nigga, we don't fuck with that.
it was
That's not what
definitely
we
more
do.
gatekeeping for sure. Absolutely.
But I'm saying that we just don't mess with that reality TV show shit, period.
Yeah, I think it was a different time, but then so
look at Cardi B. She came from a reality TV show.
Yeah, but by now it's a different time. So we have the Kardashian effect, like everybody.
Yeah, none of it, Cardi B couldn't have blew up 15 years ago from being on a reality show.
Right. And then you
no, I say no 20. I say 20 because she came out around 2010, 2013 or something, right?
Whenever, yeah, and it might actually, I think it might have been later. She was later because that's a completely pretty much a different cast than the OG cast of Love.
Of Living Hip Hop New York. Yeah.
But I will say this. So to hear her story and then for Chanel, you might kind of have to look out for her and say, what's going on? Like, she's been sitting in this apartment all day, and the model apartment, like, you have to pay for that. That's not free. And so
2015 is when she debuted on Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah, I'm like, I know it was like a little later.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you find out that the agency is like, she won a reality show, so we have to treat her different, when unfortunately this was a game-changing moment where ultimately it doesn't, you see, and I need to, but also this is fast forward, this is a different time, but not that much time, because look at Kendall Jenner. Kendall Jenner is also from a reality TV show, and is one of the top billed models.
Yeah.
And so that's always the idea, because even when you look at Danny still look young, Kenya still look young. For the most part, some of the girls that you could tell that are still active or at least interested in modeling, they kept up with themselves. They kept themselves up. But because part of me is like, it's TV. It was TV. Yeah. And that's why I said this show to me always appeared.
Question for you then with that. How was Yaya and Eva and Takara able to pop off? And then even the first plus size model one, she jumped off too. How were they able to piggyback and do their thing, and everybody else kind of got left in the dust?
I think you had to.
And even before you go, people go look at those other competitive reality TV shows. If you didn't win the motherfucker, you did not nobody heard from you unless you pressed on and did some other shit. It wasn't just like, when people are like, oh, I had to go back working at rallies. Everyone in them competition reality shows is built like that. They don't come behind you and like follow up to make sure you okay. That's just the nature of the business.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things where you really have to and I'm not gonna say those girls didn't want it. You got to figure out how to make a way for yourself. And I think that's one of the things that people are, because the industry still gatekeep to this day, and people are figuring out ways to make a name and a way for themselves. And so I think that, because like the thing that people were saying about Eva, for example, they were saying that Eva was managed by Benny Medina, who manages Tyra and Tyra. Now, I don't know how true that is. And it very well might be true. It's like, so that helped. But see, what Eva was saying was, I'm more than just top model. This was just a stepping stone for me. I was going to figure it out one way or another. Like she said, I was shorter, but I'm 5'7". The average model, like, female model is like 5'9" maybe. At least for a runway. I think at minimum the girls have to be like 5'9". But
that's what made
it
Eva like the special girl, because she was 5'7".
yes. And they would tell her that, like, you have to do stuff that makes you elongate yourself. You have to, like, they gave her like a lot of tips. And it was the same thing with Yaya. Because I don't know if Yaya was that much taller than Eva. At least that's how it read on film. But ultimately, I think it was just, that was the thing. Yaya came in saying that she was going to be more than just a model. Like, that could not just be her thing. And I think as Black people, and they kept trying to break her down over this, so they really couldn't get to her.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing too with Yaya. I believe they were just like, she was so overly confident or whatever. But it was just like, when you grow up in a certain household, that's just what it is. What you talking,
Yeah.
that big bullshit that you talking is nothing to me. You can't break my soul. And so she was able to spin that and to do other stuff. And so she was like, okay, well, if modeling isn't going to be my avenue, I know I can act. I took theater, I took dance, I did all these other things. So I'm going to allow my talents to speak for itself and do something about it. You had so many other girls that were able to pivot and do something else, and stretch that 15 minutes of fame. And for some girls it was just, I need to use this platform to get my face out there, and I need to move on with my life because I'm gonna be able to finesse this. And people probably, I think by that time, like, they showed Winnie Harlow, and my sister was like, I didn't even know Winnie Harlow was on there. I said, yeah, by that time I wasn't watching it, but yeah, I'm like, because I remember the controversy with her was they kept trying to say that she was adding vitiligo scars. I remember seeing a clip on something on social media,
Oh
and
wow.
I was like, y'all are doing too much. But it was just people, other girls in the competition hating. And so I will say this, like, how they was complaining, like, oh, our photos, like, agencies, they would look at our book and they wouldn't be able to, they was like, oh, these are overly done. Like, it was like Tyra knew that they wouldn't be able to, we wouldn't be able to use these photos. Okay, go get other photos. And even still, it's not like, come to this agency. Agencies want to see you raw. They want to see you raw. And I remember one time Jeff and I went to open call, and Jeff was like, why did you come done up? Like, you should have just came with no makeup on. And I was like, I didn't think about that. And he would, because I think, and I might have been about to go to work. So I'm like trying to dress for also going to work.
You trying to do both. You trying to double duty.
Okay. And then they was like, Jeff was like, yeah, you can't go in like that or whatever, blah, 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 blah. I was like, all right. So, but even now, like, when you go, it's the same thing. If you're going to submit, white background, tank top, jeans, or leggings, little to no makeup, or whatever, you don't have to have a book. But you can have like basic, you could take it on your phone. And back then it was like you could use a Polaroid. They would take pictures of you. They still do that. They do Polaroids at a lot of those agencies. And so I think that you just kind of have to, okay, this is what you told me. Okay, cool. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna go get my digital camera. I'm gonna take pictures, have a friend take pictures of me or whatever. Or I'm just gonna come out this shit. This is, I can do the work. This is over the top. But here I am stripped down. And you got to keep pushing. Because to me, I was like, I said, Kenya is still has a jawline. She's still cute enough now. I don't care about them green contacts. But you could go and land a deal and and go and talk to somebody, even if it's not one of the big 5. There's an agency that would take Kenya. There's an agency that I'm pretty sure that would take Danielle. But I think part of it too is just we have to be understanding about how things are for people that look like us sometimes.
But I think the thing was that people were like, "Oh, Tyra supposed to be looking out for folks more, though." That's the thing, and I can get that to a certain extent. But on the same side, you got to run your own race.
Yeah, and that's and I think that's the difference between some of the other girls and the girls that are still actively working.
Like, and I'm just what's the sister that was with the Chanel? Is that Danielle? That one? I'm just figuring out why she didn't like try to hit up even do some urban stuff more, like let me get in this Meth and Redman video, or something like that, where I'm the
like
principal
kind of
girl,
like what Tara did,
just to get some others, because when I'm hot. I need to get in the new Mario video. I'm just thinking like,
because if you think
like she's just waiting for them just to give her.
But that's what like let's be clear about Eva. That cover girl campaign went for a long time, but Eva is consistently in black spaces. You have a black show on BET that's been on BET.
What you call it? Yaya was too.
Yaya, and then she had
the car ended up hosting some shows on BET.
But you kind of gotta. The only person that I would say, you had Eugenia when she won. She ended up doing Playboy, but then she also did like South Pole. She had like a campaign with them. So you got to kind of figure out how to navigate in there, those spaces. And so, I know that people look down upon certain things that we do, but you got bills to pay. You don't want to go home. This might not be Saint Laurent, but if Essence is calling you, Essence is the Black Vogue.
Or why don't you make the call? It's me, Danielle, the girl that won. Oh, word! I want next time. Y'all have anything y'all want? I wanted to work with y'all. Is anything y'all got that's available?
Yeah, but it's putting yourself.
I'm in New York. I can be down to the office downtown about 2. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk about it. Let me meet with, because Suzanne was still over. Suzanne, I want to hang out. Well, she would definitely take a meeting. She had just won. I'm just saying you could need to put yourself out there.
That's true, and that is absolutely true. I will say that,
and that's just a little hustler mentality, though. That's just a hustler's mentality.
But you also know we from a different place, so but you can't spell without hustle.
I can see myself sitting there. I just won a reality show and everything. I'm popping, and I'm just sitting in my apartment waiting for Ford to book me for something, or what was it, Ford?
Maybe I will be outside everywhere in New York, just like,
look, if anything, I'm gonna get a cocaine habit at the minimum because I'm gonna be out.
Yeah, it's
no, I'm saying I would be out that visible. I'm saying where I'm trying to work myself in general. Like, I'm hot, especially in the 2000s.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like you said, you kind of, so you know how you would have like a socialite, like and socialites, you really wasn't sure what they did, but you knew they would be outside. Socialites were the first influencers, and so especially being in a place like,
she could have got her a ball player by that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
In New York, she hustling backwards.
Yeah.
Now that's not proper pussy management. I'll say that. At the minimum.
Let me say this real quick. And this is off topic. Daryl, my winter color has set in. I need to be at the beach. I looked at my leg yesterday and how yellow it was. And I said, oh, my summer glow has finally fully, like, I get a little color because I put a little color on my face. But what? Look at my neck.
Look at my neck.
Look at this. I need to, and it's gonna be like 80 all week, and I'm in the classroom chasing kids, getting my ass beat.
All right, before we finish up here with the next top model, so did you hear this behind the scenes? This is supposedly supposed to be a Mrs. J documentary. Before, and it got flipped somewhere because it was about him and his recovery back from the stroke and like his journey and his life, and it got flipped somehow, and like 75% of production, and they was like, we could do a top model because the 3 guys were all in on it together for the Miss J documentary. So that all that stuff was almost filmed. That they went on the back end and asked Tyra if yo, they saying all this shit about you. Do you want to respond? And then then somebody else got it and was like, fuck it. This is the next top model documentary now.
Damn.
It originally supposed to be a Miss J documentary.
I'm not even shocked just because we know how that goes, production all the time and stuff changes. I think the crazy thing about all of this, I think at the end of this, it's like we know that Tyra isn't going to admit fault or anything. Like, there were certain things she said we could have handled this better, or in this moment I thought we were explaining this like this. This is how you have to respond, and I can see how it could be taken one way versus what we were trying to convey. And so, like, for example, when they talk about the whole thing with Shandy and her getting blacked out drunk and sleeping with that guy when they went to Milan, I think I was always kind of taken aback that they let them consume alcohol like that, knowing stateside that legally they could not drink. Yes, you're in another country, but you're still doing a show called America's Next Top Model that is produced in the United States where the legal drinking age is 21. I was always taken aback by that. And so I'm also wondering what all did y'all cut out? Because we saw her making out with this guy, and you said that, oh, the FCC rules changed, so we had to cut out all this, so we had to go back and hurry up and edit
put that in there. That was bogus, man. That like putting that on thing like back on TV, like for that reunion thing, that was bogus, man.
Yeah, that was. But
at the same time, you was kissing on another dude, though. You can't be mad about what you did your own. I'm just saying on the side.
No. And I understand.
On a reality show too, you ain't even try to be sneaky with it. It wasn't like they came around the corner, you up in the closet, and they trying to find you. You all out in the middle of the pup.
Yeah, and you acknowledge that you hadn't eaten. And that's not me victim blaming or whatever.
It's not a victim. It wasn't like the dude forced himself on her either. So there's no victim. That is just a bad decision on your part. And that's what it is.
That's fair to say. Now, when I will say this.
Tyra's a dick.
And I know like Shandy wasn't that type of girl, but sometimes in order to take your power back, you got to walk away from stuff. And I think that's a tough lesson that we, at some point in all of our lives, like we learn where it is, let me just drop my shoulders and move forward. Because when she said that, oh, I asked them not to play it, that's Tyra's show. Now, I would have loved to seen her walk off the show. Like I asked y'all, or when she heard, like, even just the sound, I would have walked off and just said, I asked y'all can do what y'all want to do. I won't be discussing this any further. This is a traumatic point in my life. And here you are trying to, trigger me again. Not interested. That chapter of my life is over. But also, and I said, but that's not what they're not a therapist. So I know a therapist would say you have to confront your past in order to move forward. Sometimes they'll tell you that, but and acknowledge this was a mistake I made. This isn't my identity. And you can't allow that to be your identity. So it's just weird because, like, I'm like devil's advocate. Like I said, being able to acknowledge that show was literally, it was reality TV first, and then modeling was like an afterthought for them.
Yeah.
It really was.
They need to take this, but like I said, Tyra's a dick.
But like you said, I think it's one of those things where it seems like some of them are a little bitter.
100%.
Like upset that things didn't necessarily pan out how they
wanted. My thing is like, no, when the one girl's like, I just went back to working at CVS, or Walgreens. Whose fault is that?
And I think Shandy probably could have has she really? But she was just so meek. She was so timid. I think Shandy probably for real, because she was like tall, big ears, lanky. You know, I think Shandy probably could have gone far.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Shandy could have gone far.
I'm
But
just
like,
saying, at some point, your own hustle got to be involved in this. At some point,
yeah. And sometimes, you know, we don't know. A lot of those girls had other issues that they was dealing with, so they was already jilted a little bit in different ways. But it was like I said, they couldn't break Yaya down. They couldn't break Naima down. Naima had one. And it was other girls that they couldn't get to them. And those were the girls that you know, that went really far in the competition and or in life. Like you have people, you know, like it goes back to how bad do you want it? Yeah.
damn.
Hey y'all, if y'all like what y'all see here on Everyone Needs an Aquarius, be sure to like, subscribe, and share our podcast with your friends because we got all the tea. And you know, if you want to check out more stuff from us, be sure to hit that button right there on the right side so you can see other stuff and again share it with everybody.